To begin with, you cannot attain excellence by accident. You can only attain excellence by design. And by design, I mean that you must at least feel free to dream that you want to be the best that God created. Has anybody ever been arrested for dreaming? Nobody gets arrested for dreaming. Nobody gets sent a bill for dreaming. Nobody gets charged for dreaming. And so dreams are free. So at the very least, dream, purpose, incubate it in your stomach and in your heart that you want to be the best in what you choose to be. And what I say to people is that once you dream and you purpose and you intend and form the ambition, then you have begun the process of the pursuit of excellence. If you don't dream it, if you don't intend it, and yet you just hope or even pray that you would attain excellence, you will pray until Christ comes and you will be where you were from day one. When I dreamt of becoming a lawyer, I hadn't seen one before. But I don't know how it got into my head. But I believed it. I believed it so much that if you met my primary school teacher, primary 2, he is incidentally the regional coordinating director in the northern region. He's called Mohammed Sani. If any of you can Google him and you ever contacted him, he will tell you he remembers from primary 2, I always said I'll be a lawyer. And that connects to something that Albert told us in his closing remarks about the power of confessions. Confessions can make or unmake you. For those of us who are Christians, the Bible says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Therefore, be very careful what you confess. At the very least, unless you dislike yourself, and I don't believe any of us does, at least make positive confessions. So dream big and confess what? Big. Chickens don't romance eagles. Eagles are in the sky and chickens are on the ground. So if you have an eagle mentality, find eagle fellowships. People who can co-share your belief, your dream, who can inspire you, who can challenge you, and who can tell you, my brother, my sister, go for it. You can do it. This is important for you because at this level, your world revolves around your friends. And so be careful who are your friends, who you fellowship with, because if you fellowship with the greats, then you have started a journey of becoming great. If you fellowship with little minds, you have started a journey of becoming a little man. It doesn't matter what God has endowed in you. And if you want to succeed, don't be afraid to fail. That is to say, that the fact that you have planned does not mean that those plans would automatically succeed. In fact, the most successful success stories, and I'm saying this for emphasis, that you see, have behind them another script. It's a script made up of a litany of failures. It's just that by the time the story is finally told, nobody cares how many times you failed. Nobody cares how many times you tried and didn't succeed. Everyone applauds you for succeeding and for achieving it. So plan and don't be afraid to fail. And don't also be afraid to change your plans. Sometimes you lose your way, you have to beat a retreat and go back. Never mind. You will not be the first person to have failed. How many of us know that Bill Gates is a Harvard Business School dropout? Impressive that most of us know this. When Bill Gates returns to Harvard today to speak as I'm doing, it is oversubscribed. Not by ordinary people, but by the dons, the people who marked him as having failed. And therefore, if you want to succeed, don't be afraid to fail. I have personally come to accept difficulty as part of any effort to do anything well and to succeed. To the point that if you offered me anything that is easy, I get suspicious. Because in my view and honest belief, life and the journey to excellence is not supposed to be easy. If you want it without paying the price, what would it amount to? You're either going to sakawa it or defraud it, or if I can borrow the popular word, Wyoming it. Otherwise, you have to be willing to pay the price, and that means you must be willing to risk challenge, risk failure, and be willing to contend with difficulties. In my little story, when I opted to leave the practice in which I trained, and I can say without a fear of contradiction, I was one of the most favorite of my boss. Everyone thought that it was a very crazy idea because my boss had just become the Attorney General, and therefore, in the scheme of things, one of the single most powerful people who could change a lawyer's destiny and your fortunes overnight. And so if you found yourself working in his practice, then that was the right place to be. This was when I thought it was the right time to move. And people thought that this guy must be out of his mind. If people find you very normal, there's something wrong with you in my view. Anytime people find you abnormal, people find you a bit insane, people find you a bit out of the reality of this world, trust me, go back and check. You are on the right course. And if I gave the mic to Kelly to tell you his story with Ken, all their friends thought that they were crazy when they walked out of those jobs on Wall Street and headed for sub-Saharan Africa. You know, Kelly was just telling me, even his father, educated, intellectual, informed, thought that, wow, what is he about to do? I sent you to America, struggled for you to finish school, sit there and earn dollars. You are heading to where? Ghana to begin a business. Will you be the first? That is to say to you, my brother, my sister, you must hold a personal conviction, a belief, and a faith in what you want to do. I still put in very awkward hours. I probably have one of the largest law firms in Ghana, but incidentally, I think I work more than the most junior lawyer in my firm. And the reason is because it doesn't get cooler as you go higher. The challenge simply continues to increase. But the good news is that alongside that increasing challenge is an increasing motivation. Because by that time, you are beginning to see that indeed, if you sow and you nurture and you tender, it will germinate. Just a question of time. Dream big, but please start small. And value small beginnings. Anybody, and I mean anybody, who wants to be big but is not willing to start small, you are holding the wrong end of the stick, and you crash even before you take off. Even when you have the opportunity to begin on a grand scale, opt for a small scale. So you can grow, so you can learn, so you can master the techniques, the difficulties, the challenges, etc., etc. If you applied for a job and you have the ambition of a huge income, young lawyers walk out of school, they come to my firm and they are asking for more money than I earn myself. But all they needed to do, if they were wise, was to come and say, I'm so determined to work in this firm that I'm even willing to work for free. Because the reality of life is that any time you can demonstrate value, you will earn a prize. So if you are determined to begin and to begin small, even in a job application, you are looking for an internship, go to the company and say, listen, I want to work here. I want to learn how you do business here. They say, we don't take interns. What's the problem? We have no budget for it. You say, oh, please, sir, I'm willing to start for free. And see whether if you went to that office all week, made contributions, is valuable, whether they will not call you at the end of the week or the end of the month and say, sign this and take this as your spending money. But because our ambitions are overrated and wrongly construed, because you heard us say dream big, so you've dreamed big and you want to be big overnight, we become like the little child who started trying to run even before they can walk. We become crippled professionals and crippled future entrepreneurs because we miss out on all the opportunities that would have subjected us to the kind of pupillage, the kind of training, the kind of mentoring, the kind of learning you need to go through in order to become the big, excellent achiever that God has destined you to be. If you were to walk out of university and you are an unemployed graduate. It is an indictment of the learning and the university degree that you think you have. And in fact, it dehumanizes you. Because you see, you can ask any of us sitting in front here who employ. If I have 2 applicants, one is in employment and one is not. And read my lips. I'm not saying that one is working as an accountant, as a lawyer, as an engineer, as a manager. One is in employment. Any type of employment. And the other is not. In 9 out of every 10, your employer is likely to hire the person who is in employment than the one who works for a state housing company. That's the one who stays at home. You see, because irrespective of the type and standard and quality of your employment, you bring to the table in an interview an assurance that you already have the discipline and the habit to sleep, wake up, shower, join transport, get to work at a particular time. The unemployed person is yet to learn that habit. Because the time you are rushing and running late is the time that guy is on his phone chatting with another unemployed colleague. Or better still, they are surfing the radio to see on which FM station the juicy conversation is going on. Number 2, if you have a degree, it's fair. It's okay to dream high. Walk into the company and be prepared to be the chief executive. Fair enough. But if you don't get it and the job available is a cleaner's job, take it. Do you know that the discipline it takes to clean well, the mindset, the nerves, the emotions to clean properly is the same discipline it takes to manage a company? So you'll find it funny. But as I said, those who excel, and excellence means few at the top, distinguished, will be those who can try these crazy ideas. Because you see, it is in the course of your cleaning, and I don't know if I'm permitted to say this. I can say it to you because it was said publicly. One of our mutual friends who became deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mahmoud Baumia, after his PhD in Oxford and chartered banker, ended up in a warehouse job where what he was doing was packing boxes and cleaning the warehouse. As a result, he's packing boxes and cleaning the warehouse. He sees that the way their warehouse is structured is not correct. Occasionally, somebody has some problem with the computer, the stock structure, and he passes by and gets the opportunity and says, no, you can do this way, and he does it. Then one day, the person working on the stock control system doesn't come to work. So he gets the opportunity because there were emergency supplies they had to do. He started playing with the system, and because he was the one who does the packing, he programmed the sections and started rearranging the stock. That day, the chief executive came by the warehouse. From that day, he was raised from the cleaner in the warehouse to a manager in the warehouse. And I can tell you stories like this, several of them. And I have friends We share these things, we believe in them. I have another friend called Kwame Tinkran. You can Google him. He's a Harvard graduate. He ended up working in Tesco's, filling shelves. Today he's a director in Tesco's. The reason is because when he interviewed for the job, first of all, he saw the job advert because he works on the shop floor. So he saw the advert. And so he put in an application. When he attended the interview, because it was a high-end job, it was the top management of the company that was conducting the interview. The difference between himself and every other person who interviewed, including those who brought more degrees to the table than him, was that he had a peculiar experience. He knew what happens when stock hits the shop floor until it leaves and the next morning. The others didn't know because they hadn't worked on the shop floor filling shelves. So these are serious secrets to excellence, to being innovative, because trust me, the economy of Ghana is not going to change because you guys just graduated. And if you check every year, more and more people are being churned out of school. So if you are going to find your entry, you have to be innovative. I want to entreat you, as someone said, that this body that we have is your primary capital. It is in this body you breathe and you articulate life and you can dream out of. So whatever you do, endeavor to preserve this body in good health and condition, including good moral condition. What does that mean? I beg you, avoid anything that will endanger this body or this head or your overall health, physical and moral. So what am I talking about? Avoid promiscuity. If you are a young man, there's an African writer who said, the beautiful ones are not yet born. Let me tell all the young men, girls don't like average people. As for people who failed, they don't even want you to come near them. They like people who excel, who do well, who are problem solvers, who stand out among their peers. Then your stock market value will increase. So if you like the girls you see around, your best approach is to suspend your appetite for them now and put all your frustration into excelling. As for my sisters, let me tell you, these days, the guys have changed. Most guys these days are not looking for women they will look after. They are looking for women who they will partner with. Or in some cases, there are actually some guys who are now looking for girls who will look after them. So, reality check. Sweetheart, ignore the boys. Concentrate on your dreams, your ambitions. Work hard. Apply yourself. Excel. Then you will ask the men to come and audition and you choose. Don't let any man deceive you with sending you credit on your phone. If they send you the credit, take it. But don't give them access. And adjunct to that, all the things that you know when you do, it compromises your judgment, your intellect, your perception, and the choices you make. In your own interest, avoid them. So, avoid alcohol. When you excel, you can afford the finest liquors. People will chase you with them. You should come to our homes and see Christmas and New Year and Easter, the hampers on hampers and the different types of cognacs and brandies and whiskeys. They will chase you. So please, now you need your brain, your attention, your mind. You need to be lucid and focused and pursue excellence. Avoid anything that compromises your judgment, that interferes with your ability to be lucid and to concentrate. And for the same reason, if you avoid alcohol, as for hard drugs, don't go near it. You've seen some of the most distinguished and excelled people just destroy everything they have built by getting stuck to some dirty habit of sniffing or puffing or smoking. And in that regard, again, don't fellowship with all sorts of people. Because if you are hanging out with somebody, you see that this person is into things that you are not comfortable with, excuse yourself. It will be no offense. When he invites you, say, oh, Charlie, you may go come. Are they wait? You don't have to go. And lastly, when you take the newspapers and you check the obituaries, you'll see that in our part of the world, unfortunately, a lot of us die relatively too young. And most people, especially those who get to walk through universities and become big men and become managers, because I can see several of you being entrepreneurs because you will practice these ideas. I can see several of you setting up and beginning big companies and cutting edge things. I can see several of you investing in small, unusual things which most people don't want to do. And once you begin that process, you have begun your journey to the top. So you can preserve yourself and preserve your life and enjoy the fruits of your labor when harvest comes. I beg you, manage what you eat and practice a healthy lifestyle. We take it for granted, but more often than not, we cut our own lives short by what we eat and what we drink and by overloading the system. I believe that you haven't just heard the various admonitions, but that you will go ahead. Try it. Because if it worked for Ken and for Kelly and for me and for Albert and for Comfort and for Auntie Dorothy, the same God that watched those things work for us will watch the same things work for you. So see you at the top. Thank you.